Eat, sleep, piano. Story of my life. Anybody watching this around the world, all the very best from me, Pete the Feet. I'm known as Pete the Feet because I play piano sometimes with my feet. What's about to follow is part of my life story. I hope you enjoy it. I've been known as Pete the Feet since Mick Barrett from Gaffer nicknamed me that when I was 16, and it's been a great honour and privilege to play for so many people and alongside so many musicians. Well, I started playing when I was 5 years old, and I played in front of the school. And this is where I started playing piano, in front of the school. I was 5, 6 years old. I was playing Bach, Beethoven, Haydn, you name it. This is where it all started. It was Miss Ebling, the headmistress of Russell School, who got Bill Vasey, the organist from Nottingham Albert Hall, to come and give me classical music lessons on the piano. He taught me all the scales, all the chords, all the classical music, and without it, all that, the start of everything, it led to everything else that's happened in my life. And this is the first thing I ever learned. From the Albert Hall was my tutor. He wrote on the top, August 63, Peter has decided to become a pianist or organist when he leaves school. And nothing was going to stop me. Until the age of 8, I just did classical music. About the age of 8, I packed up playing. I got a scholarship to Nottingham High School. I hated it there, they didn't want me to do music. It was a nightmare. Coming from a council estate and getting a scholarship, it was like apartheid. So straight away, you were isolated from the rich kids. So I rebelled against that. After 3 years I quit. And then I went to Wilbur Grammar School where my brother was a maths teacher. And that was just as bad. I came across some rotten teachers. I got truant from school right from the start because I wanted to practice somewhere. And they wouldn't let me do music to O level. They wouldn't let me do practice on the school pianos. It was a nightmare. So I just stuck 2 fingers up to school. My music teacher said, you must never ever take exams on piano. You're natural. And I never have done. Compared to how kids are today, we were brought up in the countryside in Woollerton, and we used to get up to all sorts of things. We used to go birds nesting, climbing over Woollerton Park gates, go night fishing, we used to go scrumping all the time, and I knew that every Sunday Mum would get blackberry apple crumble. Boogie. One of the major things that altered me when I was a kid, I thought at the age of 15 I could play. And then I went to see Oscar Peterson play at the Albert Hall in Nottingham, and it was a... And I'm thinking, I can't play at all. And so I tried practicing playing jazz. So I had to practice like that for a bit. Then I saw Graham Bond, and he played blues style. And so all of a sudden, when I thought I could play, I got 2 inspirations on me that were totally against my classical upbringing and in training to be a pianist. I played this in front of the school at the age of 5. Yeah. You know. And then when I got into the teenage years, Lucia Trier on the Michael Pockets and shit. I left school at 16 and joined a group with Tony Crosby called the Handles. I changed the name to Ricky Storm and the Handles. And that was an amazing band. We had some escapades on the road.
Well, I knew Bino, the keyboard player, because I used to watch him like a hawk to see what he was playing, because he was playing the blues and he played with Champion Jack Dupree, and I thought one day I want to be able to play like that. This is the man who inspired me. He said, one day, Pete, you can be able to play as good as him.
And drink 10 pints a
And
night.
he actually left this man playing guitar called the Hound Dogs. And he left.
I left.
And I took over from him. But that, at the age of 16, put me on the road to be a musician. And it was thanks to this man, backing up the Hound Dogs, that I started going on the road.
Yeah.
And what a road it turned out to be.
Yeah, so it's interesting at times, wasn't it?
It's more than
very interesting at times.
Did a gig one night, I remember, somewhere East Coast, and he was doing a solo and his keyboard collapsed. And there he was, I looked down, he was lying underneath it and he still carried on, didn't drop a note. Brilliant. I thought that was really good. I don't know why it's called Peter Feet. Still don't. Possibly they stank in the van, which is quite possible, I reckon.
I was always in the back of the van. Oh, I never knew that a heater existed in the front of a Ford Transit because I was in the back with the drum kit. I never knew where we were going. All I ever knew was where we'd just been, looking through the back window of a Transit. So everywhere was in a Transit van.
Yeah.
So right, I'm sat here, 2 seats there, you in the back with the drum kit and the PA. So I spent the whole of my 16-year-old youth on the road, not knowing where we were going.
Sleeping on the floor.
Sleeping on the floor in a sleeping bag.
Shouldn't have put up with it.
I was only 16, I was learning the ropes.
Oh, I bet it didn't seem like that at the time. I mean, you should have just jumped up and kicked Crosby in the balls.
They was all a lot bigger than me. They were all a lot bigger than me.
And then when I was 17, I was in a group called Magnum Opus, and we got offered a chance to go abroad. And I had to appear at Bow Street Magistrates Court, the only court in the land that could grant me a licence to play abroad as a minor, because I was under 18. And that guaranteed my professional status, that profession, musician.
We were going to go to Spain, and because Pete was such a youngster,
Still is.
he needed a guardian, and for some reason I became his guardian. But to get all that legalised, we had to go all the way down to London in front of a judge, and I think your dad had to come as well, didn't he?
My dad was
just to make sure that we're all above board, and that's our one and only court appearance, I think.
Well,
So far.
mine.
That's 1975. And when I turned the page, you can see where I was in 1977. Bahamas, playing there, Jamaica, Turks and Caicos Islands, New York, Miami. So that was a turnaround in my career, and it altered my attitude towards music, playing in the Caribbean. Right, here's one that I composed when I was working in the Caribbean, and, called the Caribbean Calypso. I played this for the BBC Theatre Hall in Nottingham from the John Holmes show, and I think it's the first time I ever played it in public, but it goes like this. German television. I've spoken for RTL in Munich. They're my biggest audience ever, estimated 43 million viewers. I spoke in German. When I've been in Madrid, with about Antena 3 television, I spoke in Spanish. It's a mark of respect to the countries that I visited. The longest stretch of gigs that I ever did in this country was I played in HMS Collingwood, which is a land-based naval base in Hampshire, near Fareham. I played that Thursday night, and on a Friday night I played Nottingham Cassoon in Carlisle, and on the Saturday night I played in Aberystwyth in West Wales. One year I estimated it at about 50,000 miles in 1 year, travelling from gig to gig to gig. And then at some stages in my career I was doing 3 gigs a day. This piece of music was written over the course of 20 years. Both times was when I was living in Weymouth, down in Dorset. Now what that is all about is what it's like to live by the seaside, and when you get to winter, at one stage everything's nice and calm. When it comes to winter, the sea can just turn around, blow you off course just like that. That is the Weymouth Concerto, by the way. Just named that one. I've spent a lot of time in my life in Weymouth in Dorset. Some of the experiences I've had down there are amazing. Things that you never dream about. Well, here we are in Weymouth, and one of our nearest tracks in Weymouth is Newbury. And lo and behold, here it is, the one and only Pete the Feet. Well, this is Weymouth, and that's the town bridge, and I used to live right by the side of that because I used to help run the Royal Oak, and that's just on the quayside, just to the left. The Crown, well, I've got a lot of friends in there. Crown Hotel in Weymouth, one of the Kings established. Kings own this. Yeah, they do. They own the Rembrandt as well, that's a flashy one. They own all the best hotels. They own Empire Hotels in Weymouth. But they haven't got a piano between them. Now, what was these stories you were telling about me?
I've got loads of stories about you, Peter.
Yeah, well, the people are waiting to hear from you.
Right, there was a particular day I'll always remember when we went around the town looking for a piano, because not many of the pubs had pianos. And we found one eventually in this little pub on a corner up some steps. As Pete's doing his turn, lying on the floor and playing backwards with his hands, a big biker girl covered in tattoos came jogging up the steps and sat astride him, and he carried on playing. That's just one of Pete's little escapades.
I ended up commuting Nottingham to Weymouth every week, 3.5 days in Weymouth and 3.5 days in Nottingham, doing over 10 gigs a week. I ended up living down in Weymouth, living in that pub there, Duke of Cornwall. That's the cannonball that was fired in the Civil War. When we filmed this, Duke of Cornwall's being refurbished. I used to live above it, but my mate Bristol, he sold it, and he now lives in Malta. And the Duke of Cornwall is now reopened, and they have live music on there most nights of the week. I played in the King's Arms, and that was owned by Don, who I saw the other week. And I used to sleep underneath there when I was hitchhiking down there, and I couldn't afford to stay in B&B. I ended up playing at the Delilah's on the seafront for Dave Taylor, and the Salavino, the Globe, the Cutter, Eden's Hotel, the Bridget Preston. Well, I was playing everywhere, and that's without all the gigs I was doing in Nottingham at the same time. So I was a really busy young musician. So I had two different lots of clothes. I had a lot of clothes in Weymouth and a lot of clothes in Nottingham, which meant that with me commuting every week, I had two lots of laundry to do either end of the country. So, but at least I didn't have to lug all the clothes, you know, in suitcases. So it was like living a double life. Two lots of clothes, two lots of different sets of people from different parts of the world. And I still keep in touch regularly with all my friends in Weymouth.
I met Pete in 1999 when I owned the Cutter Hotel in Weymouth, and I'd never heard of him before. Within half an hour he had the whole pub in uproar when he lay on the floor and played the piano in the front bar with his feet. And then he's saying to me now, do I remember him? And I'm saying, how could I possibly forget? Me and many, many others, many of our regulars have very, very fond memories of that time. Thank you.
Well, this is Mark Anderson, Sandwell, Weymouth, just off the Lodmore Country Park. And all I can say, it is an amazing place. When I first came to Weymouth as 16, when I left school, but I first started coming down when I was 6 years old, and I met my grandfather, saw all his work on the beach, and fascinated by Weymouth Beach and the sand and everything to do with it, and the sea. For people who haven't seen Chesil Beach, it is quite a unique feature. Absolutely unique.
18 miles of pebbles.
Yes.
Billions and billions of pebbles.
And as you were saying about all the pebbles grinding together over many...
And I think that's why we've got this super fine sand here, because of that grinding process. Billions of pebbles, millions of years, and we've got the finest sand I've ever walked on.
This is the best sand anywhere in the world. And when people say to me, what's special about Weymouth? I say, well, I consider it second home to me, definitely. I follow it with the bated breath, what's happening next. That's one thing we said to Mark Anderson, not only can he remember all these beautiful creatures and models, you can remember me buying a round of drinks. Well, full walks to the man. Great memories of playing down there. Absolutely lovely place, lovely people.
I was doing this gig in the summer, and it was full of East End Cockneys, so I was in. So I'm playing like that for them while they're on holiday. He says, "Here, geezer, do you do private parties?" I says, "Yeah." He says, "Well, we're having one." He says, "Mate of mine, it's his 50th birthday." And I said, "Yeah, well, what about you having it? When is it?" He said, "It's in February, and we're hiring a pub out down here in Weymouth." I said, "Well, I won't be here in Weymouth in February, I'll be long gone. I'm either in Nottingham or in the Caribbean." He said, "Here, we'll pay you a wanna." And this is about 20 years ago. 100 quid for a night's work, there's a lot of money. We'll pay your train fare and all you want to eat and drink, your accommodation, all thrown in. So I said, "Well, that sounds like a good deal to me, count me in." So I went down to Weymouth in the middle of February, which is quite a harsh place to be in February.
And I'm playing away, I'm giving it the others. I've got all singing and all the Cockney songs, Chaz and Dave stuff. And it's all the time throughout, this bloke was staring daggers at me from the end of the bar. And I was just about to have a break, and he came up to the piano, he pulled a gun out his jacket, shoved it straight up my chin. He says, "Here, play some fucking Elvis, will ya?" For a solid 1 hour, I played nothing but every Elvis song that I could ever remember. And when I went back to the bar, I said, "Was that all right for you?" He says, "Fucking marvellous. Here, Sam, what you drinking?" I said, "On my hands going like that." He says, "I'll have a Scotch and lemonade, please." And he said to the barmaid, "Here, darling, Scotch and lemonade, put a geezer on the Joanna." And she come back with a Scotch and lemonade in a small glass. She says, "Now, darling, a bottle of Scotch and a bottle of lemonade." And it plonked on top of the piano, and I was still playing at 5 o'clock in the morning. And not only did they give me 100 quid, they doubled it and gave me 200 quid. That was an escape. That was an escape from the reality of being a musician. Well, this is my mate, Wayne Evans, bass. He just plays the bass line. Not many people play double bass, frog bass, which he used to play in a band called Gaffer. We first met at Moor Farm Inn, up at Blanket, where I used to work. And in those days, back in the early 70s, isn't it? At the time, I was in a band called Magnum Opus. Yeah. And we hired out the same place for us to rehearse. All us musicians used to go to Jack Brentnell's music shop. And in there, this is a bit beforehand, was a guitarist who worked in the shop with Colin Staples, and he had this group called Down to Earth. Well, we got a gig at one of the first Nottingham festivals at the bandstand on Victoria Embankment. We were second on the bill. We were only youngsters, 16-year-old. The top of the bill was Wayne Evans on bass, frog bass with Gaffer, who were the top band in Nottingham at the time. And around about that time, this band came along at the Imperial on St James's Street, where I used to play there as well. And they were called Glider.
The first time I ever saw Pete, truly saw him, was on stage. He was playing for the Hound Dogs at the Imperial. And we used to, our band by then had become Glider, and we used to play at the Imperial as well. So that was like the first time I ever seen him. Then I'd go to Jack Reynolds and he'd be hanging about there as well, and I thought, oh, it's a strange youth here. Played the piano like one of, but just, mind you, we all had nothing better to do in them days except to hang around Jack Reynolds and drink cider and go to the
I first remember meeting you, John, at Moor Farm Inn at Bramcote, and you were doing Extravaganza in the morning, on a Saturday morning, with Ashley Franklin.
Your interest in music immediately was there when you used to come up and talk to me.
Yeah, but I was only 15 or 16 years old. I shouldn't have been allowed in there, but I was doing gigs in there at 16. But that's the start of a career, isn't it? You know, that's where you learn your trade. And I've got great memories of going to the gigs down in Imperial because there weren't that many live venues in Nottingham.
No, there wasn't. There was live music every night.
Yeah.
Cisco, Gaffer, Orphan, and Slender Loris used to come down. Obviously Harry's band, which was Glider.
Glider, then Plymouth Airlines.
You know, when you went down the Imperial, what bands really impressed you? The local bands?
Oh, Glider, Harry Stevenson, definitely. And that's how I first met Steve Gibbons. It was Harry's gig at Glider, the dancing slipper in West Bridgeford.
The art school dances?
Yeah, the art school dances. And top of the bill was Steve Gibbons. And that's when I first met him. If Harry's band Glider playing there that night, I would have never met Steve Gibbons. And if it hadn't been for me playing at the Imperial and meeting this Elmo show, none of anything that happened after that would have ever taken place. And that was the power of the Imperial. It was, and Jack Brennell's music shop, because it was very much the centre where every musician used to meet up. And it was the place where I got my nickname, Pete the Feet. I was wearing these Jesus creepers. We just walked out the hand in, which used to be, it became the stage door. And was walking down Parliament Street. He says, "Look at Pete's feet." Pete's feet, and the name stuck. And it became Pete the Feet. And it's Mick Barrett that I blame for having a nickname in Nottingham, Pete the Feet. So
He's a good man for naming people, Mick Barrett.
One of the most amazing things in those days, because Cisco on a Sunday night, they were the band in Nottingham. On a Sunday night, you couldn't move in the Imperial.
Really popular.
Really popular. And Colin Staples run his blues night down there, and I started playing the piano down there, joining in with the harmonica player. And through that, he got me working on the door. On a Saturday night where he booked bands from out of town. And this one night, there was a group, Bahana. And in that group was this guitarist called Elmer O'Shea. He saw me playing the piano, and he gave me a nickname, Boogie. And down in the West Midlands, if you mentioned Peter the Feet, they wouldn't have a clue who we were talking about. But he said, "Oh, you mean Boogie from Nottingham? Because they must speak like it." Of course, we all know Boogie down here. And then I kept in touch with Elmer, because I hadn't seen him for a few years. And all of a sudden, I got a phone call out of the blue. He said, "Boogie," he says, "there's a band down here. I'm looking for a keyboard player." And I said, "Yeah, I'm just a bloke." I said, "How did you come down here?" And anyway, we started this band, and the lead singer was Melvin Gitters. And that band, Melvin's Marauders, he was big friends with Robert Plant, and that's where all the whole link came from. Because Robert did the backing vocals on this song called Buzz Buzz at Little It, which we did on the Bird's Nest label. And we started doing gigs in Stourbridge on a Sunday night. Robert started coming along to our gigs and getting up and taking over the vocals, Melvin joining in. And this is just after John Bonham time. He just wanted to do gigs, you know. Obviously, they couldn't go out as Led Zeppelin. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to do something different. And it was his perfect thing. And that was like literally the formation of the Honey Drippers, which we went on for about 2 years doing gigs around England, playing at the strangest places. Somewhere I played back in the 80s with in a group called the Honey Drippers. And the singer used to sing a song something like this. To have like Robert Plant and Geezer Butler, Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath trying to grab my talents, I thought that was quite an amazing thing in my career. Out with the Honey Drippers with Robert Plant, and we used to play some really silly little places. And this is one, it's a caravan site in Pendine Sands down in South Wales. And people couldn't quite believe that Robert Plant was doing caravan site clubs in that time. I was based in around Kidderminster at that time. I used to live in Bewdley and Blakedown. Did a lot of gigs around the West Midlands at that time. And it was a different part of my life. That was the early 80s. And they're exciting times. It's exciting having a roadie like Benjamin Lefevre. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. I'm a roadie. He's the guy who discovered John Bonham dead. One of the strangest gigs I ever did was playing in Robert Plant's field. They'd all come back from Edgbaston, and Benji Lefevre, he was running the barbecue. And then when you wanted to go and relieve yourself, on every tree around the edge of the field, there was a different optic on every tree. There was a whiskey tree, a brandy tree, a vodka tree, a gin tree, you name it, on every tree around the edge of the field, there was an optic. You don't play at many gigs like that. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I'm amazed I'm probably the only person that can remember it. There was that much consumed that night. It's a miracle I'm still alive.
The biggest gig I think that I could ever look back on, never mind the millions I played to over the world, but when I was in the Honey Drippers with Robert Plant, I looked across, but Steve Gibbons was in the audience and Robert invited him up on the stage, did a duet with each other, and I was looking across that stage and never ever in my life have I ever thought, I don't want to be on this stage, I want to be in the audience. And I, for the life of me, can't remember what song we were playing or what key it was in, because I was in the middle. They could have dropped a nuclear bomb outside and no one would have noticed.
This is a band I was in when I left Robert Plant. It's called Bad Publicity, and we used to play in the Hearty Goodfellow. This features myself, Pete Jennison, and the other lads from Wigan, Wales and London. And we tried to make a go of it in London, but just everything fell apart. It was too much for me to have to travel to London.
I tried to nick Harry off of Glider because we needed a new lead singer, and I ended up playing with Harry down at the Hippo Club, me and Harry, and we formed a band down there. I was at the Hippo Club for 3 years, at least, probably 6 years I think.
When we did our duos, particularly at the Hippo, it was nearly all rock and roll, wasn't it?
Yeah. At the Hippo, like, we'll go back to Hippo, because this group we had, it had various names. Shanghai Scorchers.
The Shanghai Scorchers.
Only Harry can come up with these names. Then we were called the Big Together Club.
That was Robbo's name.
That was, yeah, well, but so I never thought I'd end up working at the Theatre Hall of Nottingham Playhouse. That was at Nottingham Playhouse for 2 years. That was quite something different. There's a very poignant song that I remember recording with Pebble Mill.
Oh yeah.
This is back in 1988, and it was the only one I didn't know the one.
Horizons of Tears, you played a grand piano on it.
Yeah, well, I saw this Steinway grand piano,
yeah,
and I thought I can't do this session for the BBC without getting my hands on that Steinway.
No, that's right.
It meant so much to me at the time. You know, in 1988, and here we are, 2017.
Is that what it was, 88?
Yeah, I never forget
a
that.
long time ago, wasn't it?
Long time ago. But nevertheless, it's memories.
30 years ago, Pete.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It's a long time, but memories in music aren't just about, such and such a date, such and such a gig, or how much we earn. Musicians don't go by that.
No.
You know, we go by experiences that other people, it's not like having a 9-to-5 job and you clock on and you clock off. And,
right.
You know, you do to get to know where all the late night eating places are, where you can get a late night drink when you've been working all night.
That's right.
You know, you get to know all sorts of different people from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
And you never know what is round the corner.
We used to do a live broadcast, didn't we? We had a good lot of stars staying at the Theatre Royal, or actually in the concert hall. Came along with the old piano, didn't you? Yeah. The thing about you is not only you're a good musician, but you're a good showman. And I remember at the Theatre Royal gig where Pete the Figgy plays the piano with his feet, and you can see all the audience going, yeah. And then of course off came the shoes later on. Oh my God, look at these shoes, don't take those off. Tell us about Monday at the Vic. Monday lunchtime, for goodness sake.
Monday lunchtime, we've got to be the busiest pub anywhere in England. 350 people crammed in every week, a variety show. And I used to back all these people. And,
it was crazy. I took Ray and he just couldn't believe it because, well, I couldn't. It was like being on Blackpool seafront. It was Monday lunchtime.
Monday lunchtime in Nottingham.
And you used to come in with a cloak. You had this cloak and you sweep it round your head and then sit at the piano.
This is where the hard work gets done. The easy bit is playing in public. The hard work gets done at home. That's the bit that nobody else sees.
Here's a song I've been working on. I was with my old friend Steve Gibbons, and I said I've got a song that's just made for you because I can't sing to save my life. But I'll give you an effort as to how it goes. So I got so far with the song, and I realised I needed it finishing off by somebody who can truly write a song. And Steve Gibbons is the finest songwriter in this country that I've ever known in my life, and such a nice bloke. And he's actually agreed, you know, that he might finish that song off for me and get it right.
I mean, the first time I heard you play piano, is it some knackered old piano in one of our dressing rooms? And you came in, you know, well, you have a drink, you know, something. And then you sat on the piano, at the piano. Oh, bloody hell, he's a bit tasty. And then every time I saw you, remember you stayed at my house one time. Got a piano in the front room. And you did your party piece and you lay down. I'd heard about it, but I'd never seen it done, yeah. I remember playing next door to the Rally Works. Is it the Rally?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And the one that we did at the old bit, Fletch and Jack.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, they did the sound for us on that gig, yeah. And I had a fantastic blues line up there. And you headlined it, and I managed to get up and play All Right Now, which is one of the first songs I remember you for. Just recently, about 5-6 years ago, straight out of the blue, I just had an accident, and did you know the name of your album?
Trampoline Talk Downs. I did some recording, and a few of the tracks really called out for some kind of wild organ playing, so I know exactly who to go to get that done. And looked up Pete again, because he said he'd had an accident, so he was keen to get playing, and he did a great job. And it's all up on iTunes. Trampoline Talk Dance featuring the mighty Peter Thied.
One of the weirdest things about recording that is the only time I've ever recorded with anybody without actually being in the studio with the band.
Yeah.
Because it was only Weymouth, and it got some really short timing bits.
You never recorded like that?
No, never. I always played live with the band.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had to count all the timing signatures, so that when I went straight in there, I got it all pat, and there was just Wayne there with it wasn't being recorded, but it was like guiding me along, and then when the breaks were going to come, but all the session that I'd done before was all live, apart from one I did in Kempsey with a guy called, he's from Kidderminster, Ricky Cool, and that was with Ricky Cool and the Icebergs, and that was for a track on an album called Bouncing in the Red, which was for BRMB Radio. It's a compilation album, and it's the only thing I'm on where Steve Gibbons is on the same album.
One of the biggest sacrifices I've had to make is my personal life, because whilst all the travelling I've done, I've never been able to hold on to a girlfriend for long, because I've always been in a different place, a different time. This is the only picture ever taken of my dad wearing his medals, and that's for chivalry and gallantry. And unfortunately, a month after this picture was taken, my mum died, and 18 months after that my dad died. And he won a medal for chivalry and gallantry. That makes me cry. Well, obviously, the major influences on my life was my mum and dad. And my mum worked at Players, my dad was full-time RAF, and then full-time Long Floors. And I'm not going to cry anymore, but that's something that I got taught at a very early age. If you tell lies, nobody will ever come of it. You receive the end of my dad's belt, and he's looking up at me now. So, thanks, Dad. You taught me a great lesson. This shoe was given to me by a shoe dealer in the Victoria Centre, and it was done specially for me. And they're fine spats. They're absolutely so well made and unbelievable. Not many people have got these. I think Frank Sinatra might have had a pair. This shoe is from Lokes, and that's cedar wood to keep the moisture in the leather. This was a present from my good friend Mick Leonard from Notts County. I don't want to single individual people out too much, but I've got to mention my mate Keith Eaton, who's actually saved me quite a few times, and so's Mick Leonard, and without them I wouldn't be here today. This is a copy of the original picture of Notts County's 1894 FA Cup winning side. This is the original, and I've been a Notts County fan all my life, and as you can see it's a bit dilapidated now, but it is way over 100 years old, so it's a proud possession of mine.
Being a Notts County supporter, I did some gigs at Meadow Lane, and that to me was like playing at Wembley. And one of my best friends, Mick Leonard, goalkeeper and coach, I remember going to see him play at Wembley and see him play in the First Division. And when he got me a gig at Meadow Lane at Notts County, God, I felt as I got to the cup final. I honestly did. And Mick Leonard is, one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And he always looked after me. And
He has, hasn't he?
Yeah, certainly has.
He played his wedding, his divorce. We were supposed to play his other wedding, his next wedding, but we decided not to because he'd got divorced.
He thought it might give you bad luck.
If we played again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I signed for Notts County, I think September '79. I can remember the first game I played was against Luton Town, and that was probably where we met, in the Centenary bar after the game. And through some other contacts at Notts County, I was led to believe that you'd played with some seriously famous musicians. Robert Plant's name was mentioned, and I love my music. I've done all through my life and still do. And I thought, nah, he couldn't have played with Robert Plant, no chance. And Geezer Butler's name was thrown in the mix as well, but it turned out to be true, and we become friends from that day on. Pete used to play in nightclubs where
The Hippo Club.
the football fraternity used to go to on a Saturday night and enjoy successes of winning or commiserations if we'd lost on a Saturday. It didn't really make much difference back in those days, but there was a little room back at the Hippo Club in Bridlesmith Gate in Nottingham. It was a really tight musicians' den, and I got to know Pete from then on in. And
Every now and again, you turn up on my doorstep and says, Pete, I've got something for you, and there might be a new suit or a new collar and tie, and Mick's always looked after me. When I've been poorly.
Well, I've got out of bed to do this because I haven't been very well for the last week. I'd like to thank John Holmes off Radio Nottingham, who's helped promote my career, and along with many other people along the way. But also all the people who's looked after me health-wise. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. Because last year I got told in May that I wouldn't live till Christmas, and I had to have 4 major operations. This is where I had my operation last year, and that was my esophagus, and they wondered why I couldn't get any food down they couldn't even get their camera down it. So they blew balloons inside me to open up my esophagus, and eventually that's my gullet, and that's so that food could pass down it.
So on my fourth visit, they went right through my colon into inside. I took biopsies and they all came back benign, which meant I was cancer free. And all of a sudden, just about 6 weeks ago, I found out I was choking on food again. I knew, oh no, it's this again. But I went through that scan, and then it was confirmed to the radioactive scans that I'd got a cancer right up here. I got told with 3 or 4 options of what they could do. They could put a stent in, there's chemotherapy, radiotherapy, or surgery. Surgery would be the most operative one of the lot, obviously, but the cancer's that near my aorta, which is the main valve to my heart, that to do surgery there would have been so life-threatening that they couldn't do it. They wouldn't advise it. So now I'm looking forward to having to battle against what's coming my way. I had a MRI scan at Queen's Medical Centre the other week, and they said bring a CD of your choice, and I bought Harry's latest album with the Last Pedestrians, and whilst I was going through an MRI scan, and if you've ever been through one, they're very noisy and they give you industrial headphones because of the noise.
They're bucket scars, you've earned them, you have. You know what, that's
could be
very
worse.
neat.
Well, all this pressure's been on me. I've been watching the Olympics and I've seen what they've gone through for 4 years to get those gold medals, and being awake at night worrying about things, that's taken a lot of the worry away, and thinking if they come battle to win all those gold medals and come back with that lot, I'm sure I can battle against this. I've been burgled twice, I've had operations on my hands, severed tendons, I've survived 3 car smashes, 2 armed robberies, and if I can survive that, I think I can survive going through this cancer treatment. So I've raised money for Notts, Lincolnshire Notts Air Ambulance, and last year I raised £300 pound a request. So I got through, this is the Camera Beer Festival at Nottingham Castle, and I managed to get through 300 requests at £1 a piece, so that went to the air ambulance. And a few years ago I raised £500 for the Children's Cancer Ward. So I think next time around, I want to split the money between the air ambulance and cancer research and the Macmillan nurses. I haven't consulted them yet, but I know how much they do for people that have been diagnosed with cancer. So I think if we get through everything, I think we'll organise a gig that's going to raise money for all of those 3 charities, and I hope everyone supports me on that. Having qualified as a lifeboatman, later on, when I went down to live in Weymouth, having been there as a kid, I've always tried to raise some money for the RNLI, and I've done gigs down in Poole, which is the headquarters of the RNLI, and raised money for them. I'm not a religious person, I'm not anti-religion, but I do know how to play a lot of Christmas carols, because when I was learning the piano as a youngster, carols were obviously a major part of growing up, and to learn all the Christmas carols, and I volunteered to play for the Christmas carol service for the church, and I ended up with a choir behind me and musicians and doing like not midnight mass, but their Christmas service, and I must say that was quite a touching moment in my career, because if someone had told me that I'd end up playing in church, I would have said, "You could having a laugh," because, you know, as I said, I was not a religious person. I've always prided myself that whatever people like on the television, if I can't play it, then it must be a crap programme, because I know absolutely thousands of pieces of music, and I make it my business to know whoever walks through that door, I've got a piece of music right up my sleeve waiting for them. I'd like to recollect an evening when I was only 16 years old, and we were support on a big bill in Coventry, and top of the bill was comedian Frank Carson. And in walks Frank Carson into our dressing room. He said, "Hello, which one of you is the keyboard player?" And he all pointed at me, little 16-year-old me. And he says, "Well, I hate to go on stage cold. I wonder if you know any Irish music that I could, like, walk on. When I go to the microphone, once I'm introduced, you play some Irish music." I said, "What, like, that'd be fine, sir. That'd be fine, son." Having done my bit to play him on and off the stage, I thought it's time for me to creep off back to the dressing room, let him get on with his show. Oh, no chance. He turned round to me, he said, "And where do you think you're going?" "So I think I know where you're going. You're just like your mother." He said, "He'll be going straight to the bar. If he's not going there, he'll be going to the bookies." So, just like his mother. I bet you everyone in here knew his mother. Everyone is always, and he went on for 5 minutes, cracking all these jokes about me and my mother. And I'd only met him for 30 seconds in the dressing room. And after about 5 minutes of cracking jokes, all these gags about me and my mother, I've never felt so embarrassed in all my life. Anyway, I got back to the dressing room. And about 10 minutes later, in walked Frank Carson. Which, bear in mind, I was 16 years old. This was 1973. And if we earned 10 quid a night, that was good money for us. He came into the dressing room, and in those days, comedians, the stars of the comedians, they won £500 a night. He came into the dressing room, and he slipped a £10 note into my top jacket pocket. He didn't have to do that. But it taught me what a great bloke that bloke was, Frank Carson. You can't buy memories like that. God bless you, Frank Carson. True gentleman. You learn what people are like in the music business, behind all the money and everything. There are some real true people. Just about trying to be the right person for the right occasion. Whether you're playing in an old people's home, a wedding reception, a private dinner party, play for barristers. Some of the private dinner parties I played at, you've got to have all those songs that they, you know that they're going to like, that they might want to sing along to, have a dance to. You need a massive repertoire to pull it off without any rehearsals, and you've got to be able to change your direction in music from one second to the next, because you can spot straight away whether you're doing right. Well, one thing I'm quite proud about is, as a solo pianist, at no time whatsoever has any member of an audience ever had to pay an admission fee to come and see me play. That's why, I'm quite happy about that. I'm not rich, wealthy or anything like that, because I'm not in music to do those things. But anybody can walk in off the streets, see me play, and always have been able to. And it's never been a get-rich scheme to play music. It's because I love music. And all the people that I've met over the years, they make it more than worth my while to be a musician. I don't ask them for much, don't ask them for hardly anything.
Nottingham's got a lot of talent, and we don't get enough publicity about the talent that comes from Nottingham. It's amazing the talent there is in our city. I don't forget anybody that I've worked with over the years. Well, Wayne's here, because I don't forget Wayne, and I don't forget Ali Stevenson, all the people I've worked with Tony Crosby, all the people I've worked with, there's so many of them. Our paths have crossed that many times, but I'll never forget them. Funny how some people seem to have a habit of a forgetful memory, but that's what fame and money can do to people.
Well, Pete has always been a really sensitive musician, and music moves Pete in a way that a lot of people, I think, aren't sort of moved by music, as Pete obviously is, and it's been his whole life, as far as I can see. He's been playing the piano, and not just with his feet, and it's been a pleasure to be around him most of the time.
Bloody hell, Pete. We've done quite a lot. We know a lot of people, and we've done quite a lot of gigs right around this town.
Not just this town, I mean, here, there and everywhere.
Yeah.
I've tried adding up how many gigs I've done, and then I lost count.
Well, this is it.
Completely lost count. At one time I was doing 4 gigs a day.
Yeah.
That was just in Nottingham.
Yeah.
And 2 a day in Weymouth, down in Dorset.
I know.
You know, I'm just thinking, how did I manage it?
Well, we never, because you always used to, if I hadn't seen you for a bit, you'd be straight away, you'd be like, guess how many gigs I've done yesterday? Like that, and I'd be going, I only did none yesterday, Pete's done 74 already. Besides Pete, anyway, it was like word of mouth, you know, word of ear.
That's right.
Really. People knew that you could do it, knew you could play any kind of music they wanted. If somebody shouted out Vera Lynn's song, you could do it. Somebody shouted out Tchaikovsky, you could do it. So, you know, that's why you got all the gigs, because you were just completely versatile.
I didn't ask for them. I've never had an agent, a manager.
No.
I never had an agent, a manager, a record company, publishing deal, or anything.
No.
And yet I still managed to sort it out.
Make a living out of it.
Well, scrape. Let's get the word right, scrape. You know, without all the royalties and all that coming in. But I think the one that summarises everything about was people that's been based in Nottingham. So none of us went out to achieve, you know, big recognition or make loads of money. But one thing we have done is stick together as friends over many, many years, over 40 years of friendship. And, you know, and we've all looked after each other. I go and see his gigs when I can. You know, people come see my gigs, and the people of Nottingham, they support as well. We stick together, not because we've got love of, you know, we've got no love of money. A bit now and again comes in handy, but we love our music here in Nottingham, and it's our friendships that keep us together.
It does indeed.
Cheers, Nottingham. Thanks for all your support.
Lovely. Keep it going.
There might be a pub somewhere near Wembley I might have played at, but I've never played Wembley Stadium. But there again, I've never been that bothered about it. So I've played in just about every back street pub in Nottingham, and that's good enough for me. As long as people enjoy what you're doing and you just do your best, that's all you can ever wish for.
I still remember the youth club though. They were the best days. Rangewood Youth Club. Pete used to get on the piano and rock the place, didn't you? No, it is. You used to be brilliant.
I went to Nottingham High
If
School.
I asked you to play anything, you could play it without... It was fab. You're so modest, aren't you?
Well, just get on with it.
Yeah.
Get on with it, and you're only as good as your next gig.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. I was only a teenager, and you were much older, but eventually, you know, by hard work, we got to become a good band.
We did all right.
Did
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never made the charts, though, but but I don't think we were dreaming of that. We just want to enjoy what we were doing and pass it on to the audience.
And it was good. It was good fun.
Good times.
Yeah, it's a good time to grow up. Yeah, saw a lot of life, I think, didn't we?
Saw an awful lot of life.
Yeah. From an angle that I never ever thought I would do. Well, both you and Brendan as well, really.
Yeah,
you've stuck with it, and you've got a good life out of music.
That's something to debate. Certainly, it's what I set out to do.
Yeah, you've not done so bad.
Well, I'd never set out to have a mansion or a
No.
It's a good job, really, because I've got no chance of any of them things. All our careers have gone different ways. Wasgift, which is a very well-known musical instrument, amplifying company called Carlsborough. It's a well-known Nottinghamshire company. And he spent most of his working life there, involved in
28 years of my life there.
loud amps. He loves guitars and guitarist. Many good years on the road. And taught me a lot at a young age. 17 years old. And, we did some travelling, didn't we?
All over the place, yeah. Wales, Carlisle, Exmouth, London, Aberystwyth.
Been there, bought the t-shirts before I was 18 years old, and that was part of my apprenticeship as a musician, and a proud one. Your career has been a massive influence on mine. It set me an example, how to be professional to an audience.
Yeah, it's been a credit to the music industry, and to follow in your footsteps is quite an honour. To follow in my footsteps. If I could play half as good as you, I'd be doing okay.
Like I say, myself and Pete, I've travelled around the world a lot since. I know Pete was on his travels back in the day as well. But we've always remained firm friends. He's one of my favourite musicians, absolutely, but he's one of my firmest friends as well, without doubt.
Yeah, well, I think he's a very talented young man, and I think if he keeps his nose to the grindstone, he might get somewhere eventually.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, well, one day I'll get the hang of the piano. Just when you think you're that many miles from home that no one will find out what you get up to, you realise that this world isn't as big a place as what you think. So be careful on your way.
Bye.